Welcome back. Thanks very much for staying with us. You are watching WION World is One with me, Raisha Sehgal, and this is Speed News, where we get you the latest from all across the world. Let's get this started. India-US trade talks have begun in New Delhi. US Trade Representative for South Asia, Brendan Lynch, is leading the American side in the day-long negotiations, while senior Commerce Ministry official Rajesh Agarwal is representing India. The talks mark a turnaround in bilateral ties after weeks of US criticism, reviving hopes for progress in a free trade agreement that had been derailed by tariffs imposed by Trump. And that's over India's purchase of Russian oil. US President Donald Trump has warned Hamas to release all hostages, stating that if they don't, it will be the end of them. Hamas has rejected Trump's proposal, even as Israel steps up its offensive across Gaza. Speaking on social media platform Truth Social, Trump warned Hamas against moving Israeli captives above ground to use them as human shields and hinder Israel's military campaign, calling it a human atrocity. French President Emmanuel Macron and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer held a video call to discuss a two-state solution for the Israel-Palestinian conflict. This comes ahead of a global leaders gathering on September 22nd alongside the United Nations General Assembly, where several countries are expected to formally recognize Palestinian statehood. Gulf leaders meeting in Doha have declared their security indivisible after Israel's strike on Hamas leaders in Qatar, calling it a dangerous escalation. Wrapping up an emergency Arab-Islamic summit, they pledged support with Doha and announced plans to activate a joint defense mechanism. The September 9th strike by Israel marked a turning point, with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowing more attacks on Hamas wherever they are. While Arab and Islamic states rallied behind Qatar, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio backed Israel's stance, even as Washington expressed unease over the Doha strike. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a second U.S. military strike on an alleged Venezuelan drug trafficking boat, killing 3 people. He posted a video showing the boat engulfed in flames and warned drug traffickers, saying, "We are hunting you." The strike took place in international waters and follows a similar attack earlier this month that killed 11 people. Questions remain over the legality of these strikes, but Trump insists that he has proof that the victims were narcotics traffickers. All right, in other news, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has stepped up his criticism of the United States, describing U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio as the Lord of Death and War over his tough rhetoric on Latin American cartels. Maduro's comments follow recent confrontation at sea involving a Venezuelan boat, and as the U.S. increases its naval deployment in the Caribbean. The move comes after Trump ordered 8 warships to the region, heightening tensions between Washington, D.C. and Caracas. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has vowed to keep up maximum pressure on Iran to block its pursuit of a nuclear weapon. The commitment follows the June conflict when American and Israeli forces targeted Iran's nuclear sites. At a joint news conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Marco Rubio said a nuclear-armed Iran under radical Shiite cleric with the capability to launch missiles far beyond its borders poses an unacceptable danger not only to Israel and the United States but to the entire world. US President Donald Trump has established the Memphis Safe Task Force, modeled after the federal law enforcement surge in Washington, D.C. to tackle rising crime in the US. The task force will unite federal agencies like the FBI, ICE, Homeland Security, US Marshals, National Guard, and local police under Attorney General Pam Bondi's leadership. Trump's decision has drawn sharp criticism from Democratic leaders and civil rights advocates who argue that the move is more political theater than public safety strategy. Trump also indicated plans to deploy similar forces to Chicago, St. Louis, and New Orleans. US President Donald Trump has announced that he will file a $15 billion defamation lawsuit against the New York Times in Florida. In a Truth Social post, Trump blasted the newspaper as a mouthpiece for Democrats. Trump has accused of spreading lies about him, his businesses, his family, and Republican-led movements like America First and MAGA. In Ukraine, a missile strike on the city of Zaporizhzhia has left one person dead and 13 injured, including 2 children. Huge fires broke out, engulfing 3 residential buildings, 2 trucks and a large service station. 78 rescuers and 17 pieces of equipment were deployed to control the blaze. Emergency services are still working on the site. The United Kingdom will deploy Royal Air Force fighter jets and an air-to-air tanker to Poland as a part of a NATO mission. Defense Ministry said UK fighter jets will join a NATO operation over Poland to help defend the alliance's eastern flank. That's after Russian drones entered Polish airspace last week. The ministry added that the missions by RAF Typhoons would start in the coming days. NATO chief Mark Rutte said the alliance would reinforce the defense of its eastern flank following a Russian drone raid into Polish airspace. Poland and its NATO allies last week scrambled jets to shoot down Russian drones over Allied airspace for the first time since the war in Ukraine started 3.5 years ago. Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense has reported that 24 Chinese aircraft, 11 PLA vessels, and 6 official ships were detected operating around Taiwan. Among them, 15 aircraft crossed the median line and entered the northern, southwestern, and eastern sections of Taiwan's RDs. The ministry stated it has monitored the situation very closely and has responded accordingly to these incursions. China and Poland are set to celebrate the 10th anniversary of their comprehensive strategic partnership next year, with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi urging stronger ties during talks in Warsaw with Polish Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski. Wang emphasized mutual respect, resilience, and protecting each other's core interests as the foundation for steady growth in ties, pointing to Poland's early recognition of the PRC and the role in the Belt and Road Initiative. He called Poland a key partner in Europe. Denmark is leading a military exercise in Greenland with hundreds of NATO troops amid tensions over the Trump administration's push for US jurisdiction over the Arctic territory. The Arctic Light 2025 drills involving over 550 service members from Denmark, France, Germany, Sweden, and Norway are designed to strengthen operational readiness around Greenland, which is a strategically important island that is a semi-autonomous part of Denmark. The Danish military says the training will strengthen joint response capabilities against destabilizing threats to Greenland, Denmark, and NATO in the Arctic and North Atlantic. All right, Nepal has been hit by its deadliest unrest in decades just as peak tourist season begins. Violent Violent anti-corruption protests in Kathmandu left 72 dead, more than 2,000 injured, and forced former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to resign. Tourist arrivals have already dropped 30%, with cancellations pouring in after images showed fires at landmark sites, including the Parliament and a major hotel. Tourism marks up nearly 8% of Nepal's economy, but with many nations issuing travel warnings, hopes now rest on recovery under the new interim government of Sushila Kirk, even as parts of the capital still clear away smoke and debris. Argentine President Javier Milei has unveiled a 2026 budget proposal focused on fiscal balance, allocating 85% of spending to education, healthcare and pensions. The plan includes real increases of 17% for healthcare, 8% for education and 5% for pensions, well above inflation. Milei says reforms could fuel 7 to 8% annual growth and lift Argentina to high income status within a decade. Inflation has dropped from over 200% to 33% since he took office, but austerity measures, demonstrations and a corruption scandal challenges his popularity ahead of the upcoming elections. Polls have opened across Malawi in a crucial vote for president, lawmakers and local government councillors. This marks the nation's first national election since the 2019 presidential vote was nullified due to widespread irregularities and rerun in 2020. The key contenders remain the same: incumbent president Lazarus Chakwera and his strongest challenger, former president Peter Mutharika. Malawians will also vote for 229 parliamentary seats and over 500 local councils under new electoral rules. The winner must secure more than 50% of the vote. Results are expected within a week of polls closing. Thousands of Salvadorians marched through San Salvador on their country's 204th Independence Day, demanding the release of activists and human rights defenders. The demonstration, led by the Resistance and Rebellion Bloc and families of detainees, called for President Nayib Bukele's government to implement economic, social and security measures that do not attack democracy and citizens' human rights. According to reports, since a state of emergency began in March 2022, constitutional rights have been curtailed, press freedom restricted, and judicial independence undermined. The Colombian capital of Bogota, in collaboration with the Universidad Antonio Nariño, is rolling out a comprehensive program to reduce the city's pigeon population through sterilization surgery on males. Now in its first year of large-scale implementation, the project has already cut pigeon numbers in Bolivar Square by about 70%. Experts say large pigeon populations can pose public health risks, making this initiative an important step in managing urban wildlife responsibly. Lagos, Nigeria's economic capital, faces a critical shortage of ambulances, with only about 100 available for its 20 million residents. Approximately one-third are state-run, while the majority are operated by private firms like Aid Medical. This shortage causes dangerous delays in emergency response, putting lives at risk. In India, 3 people have died and 2 others were rescued after a landslide in Himachal Pradesh's Mandi district. Debris from a nearby cliff crashed onto a house, causing it to collapse. Rescue teams rushed to the site and operations are still underway. In India's Dehradun, a cloudburst struck Karalighad after heavy rainfall. The district administration immediately launched rescue and relief operations with SDRF, NDRF and PWD shifting people to safety. Some shops were washed away as well, though no major property damage or casualties have been reported. 2 people are missing and search efforts are underway. Officials are on a high alert. The Pakistan Weather Department has issued a dengue alert for major cities including Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, Faisalabad among others. The warning also extends to flood-affected areas across the country, with health officials urging people to take precautions to prevent the spread of the disease in Pakistan. Israel-based Fever International is laying off 30% of its workforce as a part of a major shift towards AI. The cuts will affect 250 employees out of the 762 it had last year. CEO Michael Kaufman announced the move as a part of a plan to make the company an AI-first company with a leaner structure, fewer management layers and greater reliance on automation. Australia's looming social media ban for under-16s will give platforms like Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube and X leeway to make mistakes when verifying ages. According to regulatory guidance for platform operators, Australia's e-safety commissioner will not implement a minimum accuracy level for any age-checking technologies adopted by social media companies. According to the law, social media platforms must block users under 16. If they fail, they could face fines of up to $33 million. The law takes effect on December 10th and applies to platforms such as Meta, TikTok, YouTube and others. Microsoft is adding the free Microsoft 365 Copilot chat and agents to Office apps for all Microsoft 365 business users today. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook and OneNote are all being updated with a Copilot chat sidebar. While this free version of Copilot will rewrite documents, provide summaries and help create slides in PowerPoint as well. The $30 per month per user Microsoft 365 Copilot license will still have the best integration in Office apps. The paid version gets priority access to features like file upload and image generation, along with the latest technology like GPT-5, including faster response times and more consistent availability even during peak usage periods. Tokyo markets advanced for a 4th straight session, with Japanese tech shares driving the rally. The Nikkei and broader Topex gained as investors' AI optimism heightened following strong US tech earnings and bets on interest rate cuts. Across Asia, Taiwan also hit record high thanks to chip sector strength, while South Korea saw modest gains. Chinese blue chips rose sharply and Hong Kong's Hang Seng trimmed earlier losses as global sentiment stood on rate cut hopes. Experts say the tech sector is powering equity markets upside, but caution that policy risks and geopolitical tensions could upset the momentum. Alphabet has become the 4th US company to reach a $3 trillion market value, joining Apple, Microsoft and Nvidia as investors bet on AI to drive growth. The Google parent stock has surged this year, lifted by strong demand for its cloud services and AI-powered goods. The rally reflects wider optimism around big tech and AI, with investors pouring billions into AI-related companies across the board. Alphabet's growth has been fueled by strong ad revenues and increasing AI integration across search, YouTube, and its cloud platform. Experts say the company's AI strategy will be crucial in maintaining its edge in the competitive tech landscape. Gold prices remain less than $10 below Monday's all-time high of $3,685.64 as markets await an expected Federal Reserve interest rate cut this week. Spot gold is trading around $3,680 an ounce, just below recent peaks. Profit-taking and a slightly firmer dollar are pressuring the metal. But the outlook remains bullish of expectations that lower rates will support gold as a non-yielding safe haven asset. Experts warn of short-term consolidation. That is, if gold retreats towards $3,500, it could offer a buying opportunity provided the Fed signals a continued dovish tilt.